Well, hello and welcome to my studio. As you can see, this piece has come along fairly well. I'm probably about halfway done right now. For those of you who have been following along, I'm going to get into kind of what I've done so far and then where I plan on going, and then we'll put a time lapse on and then we'll see where that goes. So come along and let's see where this painting is going to take me. So remember when I started this piece, I talked about the filter that I use. And again, when we paint, if you're painting anything other than absolute photorealism, there's some sort of a filter that you have between what you see and what you paint, whether it be painting impressionistically or whether it be pointillism or whatever it may be. And when we first start out, we tend to just try as much as possible to paint what's in front of us. And that's actually a very good way to learn the skills. But then once we've kind of mastered all the skills, then we start bringing creativity in, and it's like, what do you have to offer that's unique about anyone compared to any other artist in terms of the way that they translate the inspiration into an actual painting? And if you think about what is your filter, that helps kind of settle in your mind what you're doing. And so, as I said, for this piece here, the filter for this style of work is I'm going to respond in line to an actual image. So the image that I'm working from is the same image as that previous birch painting that I did. But the particular filter is I'm going to respond in line, but I'm going to really simplify it down almost in like a cartoony fashion. And I'm going to be very, very concerned with simplifying shapes and with the division of space within the painting. And I'm also going to simplify the number of elements. So the number of elements that we have here is we have our tree shapes, which are pretty evident now. We have these sort of petal shapes that are suggestive of foliage. And then we have these kind of hump shapes down here that are going to be suggestive of whether it's distant hills or whatever it is that separates the sky from solid land. That's these shapes. And then everything else up above that that's not tree, that's not foliage, that's not land, is going to be suggestive of sky, with the sun shining through in this area here. And so that, just developing that clear in my mind, that filter kind of really helps me in the beginning stages. And then when I started applying color, what I did is trying to isolate all those areas that are not foliage, not trees, and not the land shape. And it's like, okay, just putting colors into these shapes, with it gradually getting from cooler and darker to warmer and lighter as we approach the sun, and then putting in this sort of glow effect here, which is really still just kind of very crudely done. That will be popping an awful lot more later on in the painting process. So I separated it down to just painting all of the sky, which I've done. And again, just thinking at each shape, I want to create visual interest and have pleasing arrangements of colors next to each other. And I want there to be a gradation from being darker away from the sun to lighter, and also translating from cooler to warmer, so that everything as it moves towards the sun, there's a gradation towards that light effect of the sun, making things lighter and warmer. And then once I finished the sky, then the next step was to fill in all of these areas below the horizon that are not trees and not foliage. And the same idea with them being warmer and lighter towards the sun, and not only the gradation within each shape, but the gradation in general going cooler and darker as we moved away from the sun. And that was it's a pretty simplified kind of thought process. It was still very confusing. There were still a number of times where I'd be filling in a shape and then realize, oh shoot, that's the sky, I shouldn't be painting in there, and then have to get the Q-tips out and wipe it off. So where I am now in this process is I'll go over one more time all of these shapes down here to just make sure that anything that's kind of should be suggestive of the distant hills is painted. And I can already see there's like a few shapes here that I wasn't able to get to on the weekend. So I will finish those off. And then I have to make the decision next, what is going to be the next thing I paint? Am I going to paint the tree shapes, or am I going to paint the foliage shapes? And I actually don't know right now which of those it's going to be. Or it might actually be a combination of where I paint some foliage and some tree shapes and move out. And that I don't know, that I will have to determine. And that will be I'll be making that determination at that time, depending on how things are going. But so far, I'm actually really happy with this painting. I think it's going to be a keeper, but you never know. And all I can do is just keep plodding away one shape at a time and just trying to make sure that each shape makes this a little better than it was before, until the very last shape is finished. And then either it will be a successful painting or it won't. Or what in fact might happen is it might be a successful painting, but then once everything is done, I may come in and subtly adjust certain shapes in terms of their colors or their value, to just kind of unify the painting and create that kind of dance that I talk about. So that's, so far about this. I will put the DSLR on for the time lapse and you can follow along with me. So that's a pretty good day's worth of painting. You can see now that I've put in these kind of bright, intense yellows, oranges, and greens. I think you can maybe start to get a feel, excuse me, for where I'm going with this. I'm still, though, not 100% sure where this is going. I do know that I need to kind of blend these oranges and these orangey yellows into these greeny yellows, and at some place in here that will kind of merge. And then I need to echo some yellows and greens up here, some reds. But I'm going to kind of, again, just come along, do this one shape at a time. And the neat thing about painting this way is I could never paint the same painting twice. I could never even paint this painting the same way. If I was to continue now for another hour, it would be a different painting than if I start again tomorrow, which I'm going to do, because I'm going to come tomorrow with kind of a fresh eyes, look at it and have a fresh idea about that very first shape, and then everything's going to flow from there. So again, that is one of the things that I really love about painting this way, is that the painting kind of takes you for a ride, and there are so many options, just endless possibilities of where the painting can go. And hopefully I'll take it to a good place. So thank you for joining me. I'm Tim Packer. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Share it with your friends, and I welcome your comments and questions. And as always, I thank you for your time.